Hey everyone, welcome back. So lately I've been receiving this download about God and angels and demons and what those words actually point to. Now I know that different cultures and different people have different feelings and connotations around those words, but I've been getting some kind of clarity about how those are pointing to some reality in my reality, probably in yours too. So stick around and let's see if this makes sense to you or if this resonates with your experience. So, yeah, it's becoming more and more clear to me. And I've known before, but it's just becoming more and more clear on subtle levels that God is everywhere and God is in everything, omnipresent. So he's not, or it is not, because there's no gender, it's not limited by time or space. That means there's no image that has a beginning or an end or dimensions of size or shape. And there's no beginning or end in terms of start and finish. So there's no time to it. That means it's here right now. It is this thing here now. It's your true essence. And it's formless, like formless awareness. And then all of the forms that appear within it are the angels and demons. The thought forms, the inner child traumas, the habits of thought, habits of behavior, habits of speech. They can have an angelic quality to it. And angelic in this understanding means that they can be thoughts or behaviors or speech patterns that point us towards the oneness with the totality of God, with the totality of life on earth, life in the universe, as opposed to just being limited to this one individual right here named Adrian who needs to survive. I need to, take care of all of my survival like that. That is a thing. It's real, but it's not the ultimate. It's not the ultimate truth. It's just one part of the truth. And all of the thoughts and stories that I have about myself, about who I am, about who I've been, all the past versions of myself, like when I was 20, or when I was 12, or when I was 7. All of those layers of my evolution with different bodies. Because they say every 7 years, all of the cells, all of the atoms in your body are replaced. So I've gone through physical evolution up until this point, from a tiny embryo in my mother's womb, growing and growing and changing, and little cells dying and some of them being reborn and all of that, until this form that's right here. And all of the feelings that I have about myself, who I am in relation to other people, they're just stories, and they solidify this feeling of me. But each version of me also evolves and changes, just like the physical body does. Yeah, I'm trying to put this into words. I didn't really plan this video. I'm just kind of letting it happen. The same way that the physical body changes and it evolves through time from a tiny embryo up until the adult that you see before you, the mind, the inner sense of self, the story of self, the feeling of ego identification shifts and changes as time goes on. And each version of those is like a layer in a cake, or layers of an onion, like Shrek said. And those layers, those inner children, can come up. You're probably familiar with the concept of inner child and shadow work and the hidden parts, the repressed parts, hidden thoughts, impulses, shame from the past, the different ways that we compensate for it, the different ways that those hidden parts sort of come out sideways, so to speak, since they're not allowed in the conscious expression of self. They live in the shadow and they become demonic. And I guess demonic in this understanding means separated from the totality, separated from God, separated from the oneness of life, of this one life that we all are. So it's interesting, even in calling those hidden shadow parts demons, like your inner demons, it's also kind of a saying that people have. We don't want to demonize them in the sense that we don't want to have a feeling that, oh, this is a completely evil thing that I need to get rid of, because that aversion to it is what causes it to become demonic. If you want to exorcise the demon, you have to let it come out. And if you are repressing it, you're just turning it even more and more demonic. It's kind of like Gollum in Lord of the Rings, because first he was, I forgot his name, Schmeagol, right? He was just a hobbit, but then, can I even talk about this on YouTube? Anyway, the point is, the repression and the fear and the aversion is what forces all of these parts of ourselves into the shadow. They become shadow parts. And because they're not integrated into the totality, because they're not being allowed to integrate into the totality, they come out sideways and they express themselves through your own kind of unconscious ways of being, or maybe even through illness, physical illness in the body, psychosomatic illness, or chronic pain that's not easily explainable through biological means. So yeah, there's plenty of techniques and things that you can do, shadow work, bringing awareness to these shadow parts, these inner demons, quote unquote, and relating to them with love, with compassion, with non-judgmental awareness. Maybe initially the feeling about them is fear. There's a feeling of, well, if I allow this thing to come up, then it's going to take over and then it's going to consume me, or it's going to take over all of my way of being. Or maybe there's a fear of, if I let this thing come up, then people will see it. I'm going to feel shame about it, right? And giving into that fear or that shame, or the fear of being shameful, actually suppresses the shadow parts more and makes them even more demonic. And the more that you do that, paradoxically, it gives them more power. And it's not that they are powerful in the sense of like they're trying to hurt you, because it's really all just you. They're actually not separate from you. These parts are not separate from the one life that we all are. But through the fear of not wanting to let this be seen, you make it as if it were separate, and you make it as if it has its own agency, and therefore it expresses itself in ways that are outside of your conscious control, which is why shadow work is necessary. But that's one thing, shadow work. But then light work, working with the angelic aspects of yourself, the parts of yourself that are aligned with the oneness that we all are, the aspiration towards love and compassion and joy and equanimity and trust, faith, not irrational blind faith, but logical confidence, and the feeling inside, more than just the logical understanding, but a feeling inside of solidness, the earthy solidness, as an antidote to the scattered kind of fearfulness. And calling on the one totality, life, consciousness that we all are, universe, God, sovereign, cosmic source of all life. So in conclusion, 2 things that we can do in relation to God, angels, and demons. 1, do your shadow work. Give your inner demons some light so they can integrate into the one life. And do your light work, your prayer, affirmation, and calling on your saints, and ultimately just the highest power, aligning with that, with your truest self. And it's not necessarily up there, out there, but it is up there, out there, and in here because it's omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. Peace be with you.